Flags feature pride and Pan-African themes with the city seal.
It was important to me to design these flags when the intersection was censored and erased.
The move follows the state's removal of rainbow crosswalks with a final review set for October 23rd. Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals deported from the U.S. President John Mahama says 14 have already arrived, adding that West Africans don't need a visa to enter Ghana. The Trump administration has also asked other African nations to take in deportees. California Governor Gavin Newsom has approved a new agency to oversee slavery reparations. It follows a 5-year study on compensation for Black Americans. The agency will handle restitution for descendants of enslaved people, though details are still being decided. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Watch us on Facebook Live. Then hear us on WBOK1230.com. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Whoa, now. What's happening, good people? And how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, I am so enthused. Why? Because it's Monday. For a lot of folks, it was a holiday. But today is Bagnara's Day. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Well, unless you
I'll
want to
go
be
with
Columbus.
I'd rather go with that.
It was Bagnara's Day.
I'll take that.
She's in the building, y'all. Would y'all please welcome Suzette Bagnaris, the attorney extraordinaire.
Good evening, New Orleans. Let's talk.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Interesting election.
The people have spoken. The ballots are in. The people have spoken. Orleans Parish has voted, in my opinion, to chart a new course for City Hall. So we'll see how it all plays out. But Saturday's election just wasn't about who won. It seemed that voters had a referendum on what kind of city they want to be in the next decade.
So, and we're going to open up the telephone line. So 504-582-9422 is the number. 504-582-9422 to get in contact with us. Now, let me ask you what you meant by that. When you say a different New Orleans, they had a referendum on what they want to see in the future. What are you saying?
Well, I think in large measure, they voted for change. They voted for a different tone. They voted for a different direction. I think they did pay attention to the platforms that were set forth by the candidates. And I think they were looking for a platform that to them seemed to be all inclusive. Her platform was very diverse.
Now you,
her
support,
Helena Moreno,
right.
it was very inclusive of many segments of the population. It was not targeted to an all pro-Black message. It was not targeted to an all pro-Black audience. It encompassed every area of the city, had a different plan for every area of the city, including New Orleans East. And I think no one felt left out of that plan. Out of the candidates, I'll now tell you, I wasn't trying to give my opinion before because I didn't want to sway opinion.
Right.
I think that Helena Moreno and Royce DePlessis had the best platforms of the candidates who ran, and I read the platforms in depth. I'm hoping that Helena embraces some of the platform issues that Royce had set forth. I think that his platform was stronger when it came to affordable housing and property activation. I think his platform was stronger when it came to small businesses. I think, his platform was stronger when it came to housing initiatives. So I'm hoping that she will be open to reviewing Royce's platform and seeing what issues were there that she might want to incorporate in her own administration.
What about OT?
I think that Oliver piggybacked or had a strong relationship that he developed with Mayor Cantrell. And unfortunately, he hitched that wagon to Mayor Cantrell, and he was catering to a lot of the same base that Mayor Cantrell had gotten for herself.
Right.
Unfortunately, that base does not go out and vote in the numbers that would need to come out and vote for him to have made the runoff. And I saw that very early. You could see that very early too with the fundraising effort, you know. So it's just unfortunate that the base, that his base, which is Lower Ninth Ward in New Orleans East, just is not as active as they would need to be for him to overcome a candidate like Helena Moreno.
So I was looking at a couple of things. I was looking at the mayor's race, of course. Of course, you know, I had skin in the game with the sheriff's race. I mean, that's not a secret for anyone, but I did look at the numbers. Congratulations to Michelle Woodfork and her team, because they did an excellent job with advertising, did a good job with getting the boots on the ground. I think they did wonderful, but she, along with her team, understood about the politics of this with, you know, getting the money, having fundraisers, having the political foes out there that were with her.
That's the same political machine.
Yeah.
Let's recognize that it's the same political machine that backed Michelle Woodfork, that backed Helena Moreno.
Right.
That is the Ike Spears, Blair Boutte, Cedric Richmond machine.
Right.
And that machine knows how to set up a finance committee, knows how to lock down financing early, knows how to get supporting affidavits early, knows how to court the politicians, you know, for the right ads, and is going to invest the money that's necessary so that the candidate can just focus on running and not have to focus on fundraising.
Right.
You know, there's a well-oiled political machine, and we see it in the way the votes came out in favor of Moreno and in favor of Michelle Woodfork. That's the same machine.
And it's not their first rodeo.
It's not their first rodeo. As a matter of fact, I ended up in a campaign against that political machine.
Right.
And I learned full well, you know, when I ran for judge, what that political machine is capable of doing. And it's very difficult to beat them, to be quite honest. And, you know, I saw Ike Spears on social media taking his victory lap over the weekend, you know, with the outcome of the races. And kudos to them. I mean, they know how to select the right candidates and put them out there in the light most favorable to them. They also know how to swing hard at an opponent and not to swing unless you know you're going to connect.
And not stop swinging.
And not stop swinging. Look, they will swing until you are down. Yes. Okay.
And you know, the old saying goes, the best time to beat a man, when he's down.
When they're down.
There you go. All right, Mr. Buddy.
Hey.
What's
Hello,
going on?
Suzette. I called you way back about
we can't hear him
when the
quick.
mayor was running, when Desiree Charbonnet, and asked you about, you know, the I think it was, I called it the Creole population, who they were backing back then, and you gave me an explanation. So, having learned a little from my wife, who's been in New Orleans all her life, it seems to me that the second generation of the old guard I would describe as Moon Landrieu and Dutch Morial, and that crowd, whoever all they are, the second generation has assumed control again with this election.
No, I would say they're split down the middle.
Comment on that?
Yeah, I would say they're split down the middle.
I think this is the third generation, though, because that Dutch Moon, that's the first generation. The next generation would have been Mark.
Right.
So now we at the third generation, which would be Matthew and his folks. He just has the first or second generation supporting him. Cynthia, her brothers, the judge. I mean, all of them are supporting him because that's family.
I think we're looking at two different camps. I think you have the Tribune camp, which is the Beverly McKenna camp,
right,
and the elite Black population that she is affiliated with through her deep roots that she's made through the Tribune. And when I say that, I mean the old guard, the first Black doctors in the city of New Orleans. They tend to attend her events. They tend to support the candidates that she puts forth. She supported Oliver. Okay. Then you have the new guard, which I would consider, and it's the same machine. Let me go back to the machine. Desiree Charbonnet was out front for Helena Moreno. Her brother, Bernard Charbonnet, is a part of the political machine with Ike Spears and Cedric Richmond.
Yep.
So Desiree is following in a family tradition by still backing the machine that is powered by Ike Spears, Bernard Charbonnet, and Cedric Richmond. So I think that, we now saw Juan LaFonta, who, has a large influence over the black population in New Orleans. That's his majority client base.
The district attorney.
The district attorney. We saw those people going with Moreno. I think that what Moreno did right was her strongest precincts stretched across Uptown, Lakeview, Mid-City, and parts of Algiers Point.
77% of the white population.
Yes. Okay. So she didn't have to worry about that. That was already in the basket.
All she needed was 30% of the black population.
Yes. So she did a very wise thing by getting the right alliances. Buddying up with the Charbonnets and having Desiree out front, who already had name recognition, who did well in her own race for mayor. Having, Corey Hebert out there, with Desiree at many things for her. Having Jason Williams out there, having Juan LaFonta out there, having Robin Barnes, the Songbird of New Orleans out there, having, all these black politicians and influential blacks that you saw on the stage with Helena Moreno was very strategic. So she held on to her white base,
right,
and she was able to pull apart some of the black base, and then having two black candidates in the race, taking votes away from each other, also helped her to be able to win this without a runoff, which I called 2 weeks ago. So, you just have to watch the money. You have to watch who's aligning with who, and you could see it very clearly. And I think that Michelle Woodfork also helped because the same base that was voting for Michelle Woodfork, for the most part, was also voting for Helena Moreno. So having them on the ticket, people who were voting Moreno were also voting Woodfork and vice versa.
And that's the same machine.
It's the same machine.
And do you think that the people had enough of the super progressives, what I would describe them as, with Hudson and Cantrell?
I wouldn't categorize Susan Hudson as a super progressive. But I do think that there was a Cantrell effect in this election. I said 2 years ago on this radio station that I thought there would be a Cantrell effect in the next mayoral election. I said that I thought it was going to be very hard for a very pro-black candidate to win, given the climate that I was seeing in terms of how people were reacting to Cantrell and her doubling down on her conduct. And I questioned also, though, whether a woman would be able to win. We talked about Moreno and whether or not she'd see backlash from this, or whether another black woman might be able to run in the aftermath of Cantrell. I don't think you can deny that Mayor Cantrell's second term was marked by controversies over travel expenses, opaque contracting, tensions with the city council, and even voters who initially supported her started to express frustration at the perception of poor communication, limited transparency, and what some saw as arrogancy in doubling down on the behavior instead of, taking responsibility and being a little bit more accountable and conciliatory.
But one of the things, too, that I'm going to call in this race, and Mr. Buddy, you might disagree with me on this, is the fact when there was ever some type of controversy with the mayor who is, and I'm going to use someone else in the same game. Whenever there's a controversy where the legalities start coming out and they get indicted, we saw the same reaction that happened with Ray Nagin. The next mayor was white.
Right. And I saw that coming, okay?
So same thing again in this race.
Yeah.
I know some folks call her Latino, but a lot of folks think that she's white, and the white community stands with her. So whenever there's an indictment of the black candidate, it's usually turned upside down to the point where, okay, they done did and messed it up, so let's get somebody that's the opposite.
Right, and we started talking about this 2 years
Yeah.
ago, and I was saying I really wish she would change her tone, and I really wish she would change the way she's dealing with these issues, and I really wish she would, not stop doubling down on the Pontauba and all these other issues, because I think it's going to have a backlash on black politicians who would run for that seat behind her, and I really think it did. I think voters were looking for a disciplined, administrative tone that was implicitly framed as an antidote to Cantrell's more personal, popular style. I think the sheriff's race mirrored that mood with Michelle Woodfork's law and order professionalism, which drew voters who wanted calm competency after years of headlines about dysfunction. I mean, I know this may not be a popular opinion, but I think the voters showed that they wanted what they perceived. Now, I'm not saying they're right, but what they perceived to be a more disciplined, professional tone in office.
I think that in the sheriff's race, that more so than anything, there is a big percentage of the sheriff's race that went for sympathy, that they felt that Michelle Woodfork was done wrong the first time out, and that with her coming in and saying that she wanted to run for this race, it might not have been as lump-sided as it was if we hadn't seen this escape in May.
Look,
now,
the escape was very difficult for her to overcome.
It's almost, in my opinion, it's almost impossible. But other parts of that was fundraising hadn't begun for the sheriff in a timely fashion.
It did not.
There were some questions about hires or folks as far as this. And then you got to also look at the verbiage that was being used by the competitors. Incompetent. They were beating that down in the ground. And if you know Susan, you know that Susan is one of the smartest people out here. She's very smart. But they're also, they're like, hey, she can't get out of this consent decree. She only been there 3 years. We've been in the consent decree since they built that jail 10 years ago. But the folks that don't know the history of the sheriff's race, they just voted the opposite way. And I don't think that she could have really just, outdo anybody with that escape in May.
Well, you and I have spoken about that race.
Let me leave you all with this, okay? Tomorrow starts the budget hearings.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
They're going over proposed millage rates and finance and the budget, and we'll see what they're planning, because this is the same, for the large part, the city council group is going to be still in power and have to deal with it. And Helena Moreno, she's on the council now, but she's the one that's going to have to run the budget.
Right.
So,
are you ready for this? You know that 20% of that budget is getting ready to get cut.
Right.
Across the board. So everybody that has got a department, they're going to be wishing that they didn't have that $100 million deficit. But that's going to be 20% of that budget going to go down. And also, instead of $1 billion, it's probably going to end up being about $700 million.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all's feedback.
All right, talk to you in a minute. All right, we're going to take the break. Let's take the break here. We'll take the break. We'll come back. The attorney is in the building, y'all. Suzette Bagnaris is here. We'll take some more of these telephone calls in just a minute.
Hey, y'all. Make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. for the Ruva Chef Bunny, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 12:30 a.m.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Hi, this is Arnie Filko. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events to sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join Carrie and I every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Carrie Show. See you soon.
The NAACP New Orleans branch invites you to our 2025 Freedom Fund Banquet and Awards Ceremony, a night to uplift and celebrate. Join us Saturday, November 1st from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at Xavier University's Center Grand Ballroom. Through your support, dollars fund scholarships, youth programs, and vital community projects. It's keeping the struggle to preserve civil rights current and vigorous. For tickets and information, call 504-460-7765.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 12:30 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Monday in the building. Having some conversation, of course, as we talk about this election. Our resident attorney. Yes, indeed. My sister extraordinaire, too. Suzette Bagnaris in the building, y'all. All right, let's go to some of the phone lines here. Everybody holding on. Rev.
Hey.
What's going on?
Well, listen, Gerod, there's an old saying, decisions have choices and choices have consequences.
Absolutely.
To my lovely sister and to the listening audience, we thank God, first of all, everything is over. And it is what it is. Got a new mayor. I think when you're saying about the machine and all of that, I just think people really, really wanted a change, a real change. And she was just the choice candidate. She ran a pretty good, candidate. She was out front. She's been out front. And it's one of the things Oliver had missed out on. If he'd have just made that decision a little earlier than what he should have made it, instead of waiting on the Lord and waiting on his family and all this kind of stuff, that's the consequence, being late. The early bird get the worm, as they say. But one of the things I want to look at, Gerard, is if influence by Troy Carter was that heavy, why did Delisha Boyd and Lombard got to be the race of the year here in New Orleans? For this young man to put him in a runoff, it's telling you something. I mean, and he has a prominent name and everything. I don't know what they did or what the people seen or heard, but for some reason, he did not carry that race the way he normally carries races. And I think, he's going to have to buckle down and find a way to get it. And as the lady was saying earlier, his base didn't show up for him. And this young man was out there on the ground aggressively, hitting you, never hitting you, keeping you down and hitting you, Gerard. And he just kept hitting at it. And I think the way Lombard went at it with this crazy commercial with this lady, Liz Moreau, that was bad. To attack him on that, and I think that was backlash. And I think Delisha Boyd did the same thing. You can't make those mistakes and come on the TV and try to give somebody another scenario with all of the relevant information been put out about you. It looked bad for her, and And I think she got more worse problem running for her state representative job. No telling how many might have running for her job next.
I somewhat agree, because I'm being very cautious because some people pick up the phone and call the representatives, and I know this happened the last time. Somebody called Delisha and said I said some unruly, crazy mess on the air about her, which I did not. I know Delisha well. She's been a friend of mine for a long period of time. I wish the circumstances were different, and if I had to advise her, which I did not, on anything, after what came out, which was in the news, I would have left it alone. I would not have done a commercial that says, this ain't what happened, it was a mistake. Because now you're opening up the door for somebody else in the news or some of your opponents to do more investigations on you.
Just take it this way. Don't do a Tyrone Morris.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's too whole story.
Don't call it an investigative reporter to come talk to you.
Right.
Well, I think that you make a very good point, though, caller, in this. I think Troy Carter needs to wake up today and recognize that his race to hold his seat has just gotten harder.
Yeah.
The people who are aligned in his camp, Delisha Boyd and Darren Lombard and Edwin Shorty, those were his candidates. In addition to Freddie King, who was the only one who made it out the gate, right? Those candidates were in trouble. Now, how much of those candidates being in trouble is going to adversely impact Troy Carter when he has to run for that seat? Because he is going to face opposition in his upcoming race for his Senate
seat. Can I say something? Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
The biggest problem with most of them, they are not grassroots people. They don't reach back into the community. Freddie reached back to the community. He's out there walking around listening. I mean, he can't do everything, but is making himself available. These other people don't make themselves available for nothing. It's like they're on a high horse. And these are the people, they're looking to fly their kite, and they didn't have the wind to keep it in the air. And that's what the voters that they least expected to go against them because they don't show no support for them. They're not in touch with them. They only come around every 4 years or whatever. But this is something Troy needs to take a real good look at.
Yeah, I think that he will weigh his options today, and I think he's going to have to determine what went wrong and what went right in those races, and he's going to have to regroup. I have to say, though, that Delisha Boyd is in the community.
Absolutely.
She definitely was in the community the entire time she was a state representative. I did see her working very hard. I think some other things, though, impacted Delisha negatively. Negatively, I think that Delisha had some very negative press that came out about her. Things that related to campaign finance, things related to a marketing company, things that were very difficult for her to overcome. I also don't think she anticipated Matthew Willard hopping into that race because at the time she declared, he had not declared. And I think she did not anticipate him jumping into that race and the impact that would have upon black vote that ordinarily would have gone to her.
And I think that she was, when they first started doing the polling, Delisha was ahead.
She was.
I think it was like 25% to 20%.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken.
Well, she'll bounce back.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she's still a state representative.
Yeah. I think that, her message in her concession speech was strong. The posts that she has made since then are showing that she does want what's best for New Orleans. She is willing to reach across aisles. She is willing to work with people. I think that she will bounce back from this. Darren Lombard's got a race, though. And I think that
Go for it. We fall down, we get up.
Yeah.
Darren definitely got a race. I want to see how this thing will come out.
Yeah. I think he made a tremendous mistake. I think he made a tremendous mistake in some of the campaigning he did against his opponent. And the letter with the 70 lawyers saying that sentence was vacated resonated with voters.
Bad advice.
Yeah, he's going to have a real race on his hands. And I got to say, Freddie King, though,
Ran a good race.
He ran a good race. His
He's
support,
an Eagle.
however,
He
is
still
a
bucks
lot
for
of
free.
French Quarter residents as well. French Quarter and English Turn, and they really came out to vote.
Yep. And Freddie,
Roy, thank
if I'm
you.
not mistaken, though, Rev, Freddie kind of separated himself from any other political.
He's smart, very smart young man.
But he separated
He's an honest
himself
young man.
from other political cliques and entities.
Yeah, he did.
He's honest. He's a straight arrow guy.
Yeah.
He is. He is.
So he
God bless him. He's a family man. He's a straight arrow. You raised right.
I'm looking to see how he works with the newly elected council members, what that addition to the council is going to mean,
yes, Lord.
and how they're going to be able to get things done with the mayor that they're going to have in office.
BYA and give him the rope and let him hang themselves. That's what I say.
Yes, indeed. All right, Rev, let me take these other
All right,
calls.
Gerard.
Everybody
Thank you,
holding
man.
on. I'll
Bye-bye.
talk to you in a bit. Thank you, sir. All right, T-Bone. T-Bone?
Hey, G. Right quick. I'm going to just say this and I'm going to drop off. You owe me $1, bro. I told you how this was going to go down. Exactly. I told you that voice wasn't going nowhere. I told you about Helena Moreno. I told you the whole nine.
You want 4
What
quarters?
y'all are overestimating is the black vote. The black vote is not there anymore because people have lost confidence in the same people going up. They've lost confidence in the people that have been representing us for years. And that's what's going on, bro. You might not want to admit it, but Jeff hit on it this morning. You know, you can't play the game the way you did before.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to really demonstrate, show and prove. Because right now, a lot of people put him in the same category, put these politicians in the same category with Obama. You look good, you sound good, can you walk the walk? And a lot of them don't feel they are. That's my 2 bits. Mic drop.
All right, bro. All right, thanks. What you say, cousin?
Hey, cuz, how you doing?
Good. How you living?
Well, I'm looking okay, but you know we had a conversation Friday that I want to repeat. How some of our people get bamboozled so bad and not understanding how the politics really plays out. How many major white candidates we had in the mayor's race?
2.
2, yeah.
How many we started out with the black major in the mayor's race?
1.
Major, right. And we had Hunter get in and drop out,
right.
But he supported Royce in his dropping out.
Mm-hmm.
As folks had said earlier, divide and conquer. Ice Spears supported Charbonnet, and she lost. And she ran for mayor. Cantrell won. All those names that you mentioned earlier about the support that went to mayor-elect. Black folks in general, we need to get behind a candidate and quit being divided up. I made the point when Dutch Morial was elected. He would call those groups together and say, hey, look, we are running this one candidate. That's how we got to judgeships and et cetera, and even council members. But we don't have a person like Dutch to take and be that head macho kind of guy that we fall behind. We don't have no real leaders. We're all over the place, and we need to become more united. We are still a majority black city, and we needed to have supported Oliver. He had oranges due. I'm gonna say it like that. He oranges due, but we some of us went against him.
We're not voting like a majority black city, though. I mean, when we look at, let's talk geography. When we look at the votes and where they came in on the parish map, Helena Moreno dominated precincts 11-8 through 11-14. That's Uptown. She dominated 3-1 through 3-6. That's Lakeview, where turnout topped 50%. Royce Duplessis carried precincts 2-7 through 2-8. That's Central City. And he tied in mid-cities 6-11, where younger professionals boosted his totals. Oliver led narrowly in 9-3, 9-5, and 9-8. That's New Orleans East. And the lower 9th Ward precinct 8-3, signaling continued loyalty in his longtime base in the lower 9. But the new math that I'm seeing that we need to embrace, black candidates need to embrace if they're going to win, is that you have to build a coalition with three areas in one city. You need to hit white, moderate uptown. You need to hit the black middle class in Gentilly. And you need to hit the Hispanic Lakeview households. That's the new math for New Orleans politics. And if you don't get out there and do that and see that based upon the numbers, you're not going to win. So it's not enough to just carry the black vote anymore. Okay? It's just not enough. You need to have that crossover vote, and you need to pull some from uptown, some from Lakeview, and some from Gentilly. And if you can't do that, you can't win. So that's the new math. And I hope that candidates are paying attention to that for upcoming races.
I'm not going to disagree with the new math. My concern is how we as a race of people keep getting divided up so badly.
I'm going to tell you who's leaving you. The black middle class.
Middle class is
gone. The black middle class and upper middle class has left the lower economic black class behind. I'm going to just tell it like it is. They are voting more so based on economics and based on quality of life issues that they feel that they're entitled to based upon the tax dollars they're paying. Mm-hmm. And they're not voting like we used to vote back in the day with black consciousness. Back in the day, you'd vote. I'm voting for the black community. I'm voting for the issues that impact the black community. Now it appears that the black middle and upper class are voting based upon their own quality of life issues.
And you got to remember the New Orleans there's not just a majority of just black overwhelming vote. You also got to remember that we're talking about the black New Orleans is 53%.
Yeah. And I've been talking about this now for 2 years on the radio. Post-Katrina migration,
right,
ongoing gentrification, and the younger influx of professionals who really don't vote race and don't see race have altered voter composition. So as I talk to potential jurors in court, I'm hearing a difference in what's important to people and how people are voting. And now parts of Gentilly contain more college-educated, middle-income homeowners who prioritize stability, infrastructure, and service delivery. Mm-hmm. They want to know who's going to deliver services to them. And in this particular race, they felt that Moreno was more likely to deliver the services to them that they believe they're entitled to by paying their tax dollars.
All right, let me give you this. Algiers, Moreno, 3,315 people. Duplessis, 1,808. Thomas, 1,959. Janusa, 175. CBD area, 3,644 for Moreno, 1,785 for Duplessis, 1,693 for Thomas, 94 for Janusa. Early vote. Now, this is something that we really need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Moreno had 22,288 people to early vote for her. The closest person to her was Duplessis with 9,548. 6,931 went for Thomas, 674 for Janusa. That 22,288 goes in first,
right,
with your numbers, and everybody else got to make it from that. The percentages then have to start going down for you to be able to beat it.
Yeah.
But see, this is the point that I'm making. Roy should have not have got in the race. And y'all said earlier, when people vote black, they would have voted for Oliver if Royce was not in the race. He could not win.
I'm going to be frank with you.
Even if he got in the race late, right, and combine, if he got out the race and you combined Oliver's and Royce's numbers, they still don't meet the number.
I do one better.
With Moreno.
I'll tell you another one. I don't think the people who voted for Duplessis would have voted for Thomas if in the alternative. I think the people who voted for Duplessis probably would have voted for Moreno.
Well, look, that we could say either way, but the point that I'm still making, we divide ourselves up when we should not. But people understand that you vote for what you want, but the idea is you vote to win, your candidate to win. But look, this is what I'm talking about, the ninth ward. I mean, the ninth ward, the east, the lower nine, the lower nine, with Jason Hughes and Wynn. That can be an interesting who's going to get the people out to vote. Blacks don't normally come out to vote for the second part of the election.
Right.
And he's going to have a real tough time getting his people out to vote.
So you think Cindy's going to take it?
Well, by her being reelected, she got a base that he doesn't have.
But
so it can be.
Well, I could say yes as far as council is concerned, but he's also state representative for that area. And I think that, there are some uphill battles for both. But I think, too, that Cindy has also got a great team that's boots on the ground. Them girls out there knocking on doors.
Yeah, I know. But see, I'm going again about putting our people first. The groups that some of them are bought out. I know that because I talked about that. And, I talked about when Chief Joe Geroso ran, he called them political prostitutes, them groups. Not one of them said not them. When you go to the highest bidder, and a lot of times it's about getting a job if your candidate win, well, Moreno can't give too many jobs out because, like you said, the budget's going to be cut really bad. And, folks, if you didn't get it up front, you sure won't get it in late. Yep. So that's all I wanted to say is about the mayor's race and with Jason Hughes out of the ninth ward.
Mm-hmm. All right, cousin.
All right, cuz, take care. All right.
You want to take the break now?
Whenever you want to break.
Yeah, let's take the break. We'll take the break. We'll come back. Take some more telephone calls, y'all. 504-582-9422. The attorney is in the building. She likes when I do that. Suzette McNair is in the building, y'all. More coming up.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites. Then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Tremay, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
Parents, mark your calendars. Benjamin Franklin High School invites you to their open house Thursday, October 30th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Katherine Johnson campus. Discover why Franklin is a state leader in Ivy League admissions, with 90% of students earning college credit, over 50 clubs, and more than 40 electives to choose from. Come see how Franklin has been fostering futures since 1957. Don't miss it. Benjamin Franklin High School's open house, October 30th, 5 to 7 p.m. Learn more at bfhsla.org.
When you talk, we listen. WBOK. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Folks, I said Franks. Folks.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Welcome back. Attorney Suzette McNair in the building. We're taking your telephone calls at 504-582-9422. What you say, Galloway?
What's going on, Brother Gerard?
You the man.
Oh, man, I feel more better of a man now. My knees feel better.
Your knees feel better? You got up off of. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, hey, I only get one chance. I only get one chance a year to act like I'm 21 again.
Oh, that's all right.
That's doing homecoming. So, but Saturday, I knew something bad had happened. My phone couldn't stop ringing and wouldn't stop texting. And I told him, I said, hey, look, I'm not in my right mind to talk about anything.
You couldn't talk about it?
Saturday night I couldn't. I was not in my right mind. It was some cold drinks going around there.
Yes, indeed.
So, Sunday, and folks started texting me again So I said, okay, let's see what's happening. So I ran through everything that y'all talking about. I said, listen, only 40% of the voters went out and voted. That woman did not need that big of a percent to win. And I said, you got to understand, this is still the Deep South. And much as people try to say that they're liberals and conservatives, those folks came together and said, hey, look, we're going to put our petty differences behind and we're going to vote for this woman. I'm telling you now, in my honest opinion, this election was about race. I don't care about her having that Carnival Barker, Cedric Richmond up there on the stage. And Troy, good luck in your next race. The CBC need answers. That came from a CBC member and wanted to know, why did Troy choose Helena over two black qualified candidates? I said, hey, you got to ask Troy. I said, Troy won't answer nobody's telephone. He won't respond to nobody on social media. I said, y'all know Cedric been a grifter for years. I said, that's their business. I said, the thing is, throughout the South, I told you this before, Brother G, when I called. They did this in Houston. They did this in Baton Rouge. Conservatives and liberals come together to get their choice of candidate. Black people ain't never going to do that. I hope that all them black folks on that stage, and Juan LaFonta, you ain't got to block me off Instagram, brother.
Hey,
I just asked you, did you get a $38,000 endorsement deal too? Helena was handing out money just like she was doing NIL deals. That's her business. I don't care. But don't be rude to us when we ask real questions. Y'all got to understand, when black people sit around and don't vote, white people will vote regardless. You said that early vote number. Knowing that early vote number, I knew both of them candidates was in trouble, because I do not believe that black people pay close attention to local elections like they do national elections. If it's a national election, you will see black people have more of an interest. But the voter turnout for local elections is poor amongst black people throughout the South. You can go to Atlanta, you can go to Charlotte, you can go to Houston, you can go Dallas, wherever. Look at the amount of black people that show up to vote. Now, conservatives have a road plan, in my opinion. We're going to find a candidate, preferably white. Don't care if she's a liberal Democrat or she's a conservative, whatever. If we can make the people that go to the same yacht club, to the same people go to the same country club, or maybe y'all part of a bridge club, or whatever it may be, to get the vote for our candidate, we're going to take care of you. Right. You said a great point, lawyer. You said a great point about the middle class of black people. Middle class black America is just about left the Democrat Party. These people are looking for social services, tax breaks, and all this other stuff that these candidates are promising them, but it never comes to them. But they will vote for that in a minute. And you have this generation now with the influence, and like I said, we don't have television anymore. We have social media. So the average attention span is what? 8 minutes. So you put out a 3 to 5 minute TikTok video, you just about sold these young people on a candidate. That's the way that it's going now. And I'm not joking when I tell you that what happened in New Orleans has reverberated throughout the black press world. It's reverberating. People are asking me still to this day, how would a city with that majority of black people let a candidate? I said, look who sponsored her. I said, you got to understand, these folks down there, they listen to people like Troy and Cedric, Juan LaFonta, people like that. They listen to them folks. I said, myself telling these people, hey, this woman is no good. She spent 8 years and never gave out one economic plan for black people. That does not resonate with them. But if Cedric and Troy and Juan and these other people are sitting up there saying, I'm riding with Helena or whatever, rolling with Helena, whatever they said, they listen to them more. And that's our problem. You picked an influencer, a woman who spent the majority of her career in politics as a Democrat, and nobody can tell me 5 things that she's done for black people.
Well, I think that you're right about the social media influencing and the impact that it had in this particular campaign. Helena Moreno had one hell of a social media team. And she flooded Instagram, she flooded TikTok, she flooded Facebook with ads. She also picked strategically some social media influencers, people like Juan LaFonta, People like Robin Barnes to do these ads for her on social media. And so she was running a really good social media game.
But I mean to cut you off, lawyer, but my thing is, now she's elected mayor. Tell me somebody on the city council, because the majority of them is coming back. Tell me 3 people on city council will stand up to her and red bottoms.
Oh, I don't think they will. I think that we are going to have a mayor who's going to have a very cooperative city council. Now, that could be good for us. Okay? It could be good for us depending upon the platform and the agenda. I think right now what we need to be focused on is making sure that we're heard on agenda and making sure that her transition team also reflects the needs of all of New Orleans. I'm very interested to see in the first 90 to 180 days what the early moves are going to be. The transition and staffing signals are going to be key. One of her first actions will likely be naming a transition chair or team, possibly from the private sector or a mix of private and public, to draw a contrast from political insiders. She will probably announce a search for a CAO and begin vetting department head candidates with an emphasis on subject matter expertise. I am hoping that we will see a Mayor Moreno who is not paying back political favors with people who she puts in charge of candidates, in charge of departments, and people who she puts on her transition team, but instead is picking people based on subject matter expertise. If I see her picking people who are just, to pacify her political supporters, then I'm going to know we got hoodwinked, all right? If I see her picking people who are subject matter experts, then I might see her differently.
I'm telling you now, this woman is going to be a control freak. She wants this job not just because she was elected. She wants to have this power. It's only one black person was a chief of staff that's female, and she just got added to the team not even a year ago. This woman is not about helping the city. We got to get this understanding.
Well, her executive assistant, I know very well, and she is a black woman.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. She just got on the team a year ago, right?
She's been on the team. Josette Thompson has been her executive assistant for at least the last 8 years. I don't know who you're talking about who just got added, but her executive assistant is a black woman. It was one on there they just said that when she was added there within the recent year. Okay. Well,
this other woman that you're talking about, I have no idea, but I'm glad you are optimistic. I'm glad.
I am. I have to be because I love my city, right? I love my city, and I want to see what's best for my city. Now, what I'm going to hope for and what I'm going to use this microphone for is to push for a transition chair and a transition team that draws in some of the Oliver supporters, some of the Royce Duplessis supporters, and some of the Moreno supporters, that draws in people who are truly subject matter experts. In order to heal this city and what she says she wants to do, in order to unify this city, she can't ignore the bases of Oliver Thomas and Royce Duplessis. She's going to have to embrace them and incorporate them. So I'm hoping for is that
in 8 years of her being in city council, when has she ever talked about unifying the city?
Well, that was part of her platform. So let's see.
No. I'm talking about when she was in office. In 8 years, when did she say that we're going to unify this city? My thing is, I'm glad folks are optimistic. I'm telling you, Ms. Lawyer, I lived through what y'all about to go through. These people will sit there and say that they hoodwink and bamboozle the black vote, and once they get in office, that first Monday in January, you will have a white mayor and a white police chief and a city council that ain't going to say a doggone thing to her. Get ready, buckle up. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a year, maybe 6 months or 9 months, and then you're going to start seeing changes that you're going to be like, I cannot believe this. But you know what she's going to do? She's going to throw you some beads at Mardi Gras. She might even toast the Zulu King.
She will definitely toast the Zulu King. She was at the Zulu picnic when some of the other candidates chose not to come. So
you know what she was doing? She was pandering votes.
It's
see. It's easy for a white woman to go out and pander black people votes because we're easily influenced. Look, listen, those preachers got $38,000. Think about that.
Look, I can't deny it. I can't affirm it. I don't know anything about it. But what I can say is this,
sweetheart. I know Republicans gave way more than $38,000. I'm talking $500,000 and more to get this seat. Y'all got to understand, when you have black cities that used to be the old Confederacy, the old South, Houston, Dallas, Baton Rouge, Jackson, Mississippi, these people want these cities back. And they're getting them back through gentrification. You're getting them back through liberal hippies or conservatives moving from the Midwest, coming down south because things are cheaper. They're getting favorable loans and all this other stuff. Y'all got to wake up and realize this ain't a game. I'm nowhere near optimistic. I know one house you ain't going to get. That's that house in the Treme that I own.
Yeah.
But these other people, y'all better be ready.
All right,
I'm telling y'all, brother.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, man.
Appreciate you. All right.
I'm going to say this. I was very optimistic when Mayor Cantrell took office. And I gave her my, undying and unwavering support.
I know you was ready to drive the U-Haul.
I was ready to drive the U-Haul. I was very disappointed when the administration took a turn, and when I felt like she wasn't listening to sound legal advice and the people around her who were trying to give her advice. I am going to go into this administration optimistic. I'm going to go into this administration, prayerful for the city of New Orleans and hoping that we see a transition team and a CAO that's willing to put New Orleans first. I'm hoping that all the people who were recently elected are going to be servant leaders. And so that's what I'm hoping for going forward.
All right. Say it.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I want to say congratulations to all of the winners and to the people that made the runoff. The 100 and something to 150,000 people that did not vote, how do we get them engaged? How do we change the political gatekeepers? One thing I can say good about the city of Atlanta is that black people come together to make sure that they stay in control. So, again, how do we change the political gatekeepers so that we can gain footing in the door? We need for the mayor-elect to be successful. We need for her to address and change some of the lack that's throughout the different communities, which is still affecting majority of its citizens whom happen to be African American. My disgust and my shame is with the black community as a whole. How do we change the gatekeepers, whereas someone different can come in and we don't have to not be led by someone that looks like us?
All right, give us a minute. We got to do news first, and we'll let Suzette work on that one while the news is on. All right? All right, Sid.
Have a good one.
Thank you, brother. More coming up, y'all. News is next.
From the campus of Xavier University, WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams is celebrating 1 year of the PATH program, which helps homeless people living in subways.
It has connected more than 8,600 New Yorkers living in subway to shelter and more than 1,000 to permanent housing.
The initiative has connected over 6,000 individuals with food, medical care, and mental health support. Visitors to Washington, D.C. are disappointed as the federal shutdown forces the Smithsonian to close all museums, including the African American Museum and the National Zoo. The closures are also impacting nearby businesses and food trucks around the National Mall. And the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments this week over Louisiana's congressional map. A group of voters claims that creating 2 majority black districts amounts to unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. It's the second time the case has reached the high court in under a year. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back. It is Monday, the day of what? Monday after the election?
Forgetting your days, bro?
Yeah, I'm forgetting too many distractions up in here.
Up in here?
And up in here. Yes, indeed. The attorney extraordinaire is in the building.
Y'all have no idea what I deal with in here.
Why do you think her face turned beet red?
Ooh, Lord. Attorney Bagnaris is with
keep
us.
looking straight ahead.
That's all right. And I'll be all right. Look.
I'm not looking.
She's the shade of that cup right there.
Not looking. Not entertaining her.
Let's go back to what Sid was talking about.
Yeah. So, first of all, like I said, my knowledge of what I think voters think and who I think is voting is based upon, I do a lot of jury work. So I'm talking to potential voters all the time about issues that matter to them and about their politics and why they have their politics all the time. And I think that he hit the nail right on the head. I mean, post-Katrina, we are a different demographic in New Orleans. I'm hearing more affluent people moving to this city. And we're becoming a city where the poor can no longer afford to live. In addition, a national climate has made voter ID laws and documentation requirements more hard in placing a burden on people of color who are more likely to lack or have difficulty obtaining qualifying identification. They have reduced the number of polling locations and relocated them farther away from Black communities, making access more difficult, especially for people with limited transportation. Studies show that polling locations in predominantly Black neighborhoods often have longer lines, which deter people from waiting. And there are cuts in early voting windows or limiting weekend or evening hours tend to disproportionately affect working Black people. So that's why you have that early voting disparity, okay? Right. Early voting needs to be at night. Early voting needs to be, electronically. It needs to be ways that Black people can vote because, a lot of Black people have hourly wage jobs and can't afford to lose time from work to go vote. So, that's part of the struggle we face. Additionally, my husband received notification this weekend that he was somehow an inactive voter. And when he votes in every election.
Oh, wow.
So, we have aggressive voter roll. I don't know, but it's on the actual website for the elections database. So we have aggressive voter roll purges going on, complex registration requirements. So what are we going to have to do to get Black people reengaged, and particularly our young Black people engaged, because they are not. I think we're going to have to recruit social media influencers more and run a more social media based campaign, because that's where young people get their news. They don't watch the news. They're not watching your commercials you're putting on TV. No. They're watching social media 24/7. So you're going to have to target them that way. I think Kamala Harris, when she ran for president, by having people like Cardi B and people like that come out and do concerts to get voter registration, I think that worked on a national scale, and I think that would work here too. We need to think about how we're going to get them engaged. But also, these platforms that our candidates put out cannot just pander to Black voters. The platforms have to be more inclusive because you do need votes from Uptown, Lakeview, and Gentilly. You can't just be the I'm all pro Black candidate and expect to win in New Orleans now. You have to, show that you are going to represent the interest of all New Orleanians in order for you to get that winning vote, in order for you to be able to win without a runoff. And I just think that we're kind of stuck in the mode where we think we're catering, if we cater just to our base and our base goes out to vote, that we can win. And that's no longer the case.
Let's say some of these folks. All right, Jonah.
Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all gonna hate me after this comment, but it's all good. I'm still gonna listen to y'all. My thing is, though, man, listen, I ain't saying no names, but you have to do what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to show your face all the time and not just show up at a church for a chicken dinner when it's time to run for mayor. You have to take care of your district. And that's why you had a lot of people, especially a lot of young people, and I've talked to a lot of young people, and they said, at church, they're like, young professionals. We said, you know what? This person hasn't really done anything for our district. We haven't seen this person, you know, in a while. And now you want to show your face when you're ready to run for mayor. You know, you say you're going to clean up a district, and the district is just as dirty as it was when you ran, what you ran on. So, I mean, I know we're saying get black voters to vote, but guess what? Black voters are just going to be like, hey, show me proof. And the same way with people uptown and the same with people in Lakeview, they ride through your district and they looking like, I don't want my city to look like this if you're not doing that with your district. Why should I vote for you? Mm-hmm. Don't hate me, y'all. Don't hate me. Y'all,
you're making a lot of sense. I agree with you 100%. And I heard a whole lot of that rhetoric from voters in New Orleans East.
Yep.
So if you can't carry your own district decisively, not with a strong lead, not with a modest lead, then you have a problem.
So one of the things, though, Jonah, that I would put into probably my platform was to go back to the Ray Nagin days. And I know some people, when you start talking Ray, they already start squinching up. But, you know, I'm going to just say, you know, undo your butt cheeks for a minute and listen to me. Because one of the things that was put in place during Ray Nagin's term for New Orleans East was done through contracting with the amount of money that we put into our sanitation. Because what was done by Veronica White, who was the sanitation director at that time. And what she did was contract with several different companies, construction companies, that would come out there with those bobcats, those grippers, and they would go out there and they would remove those old tires. They would remove all the trash and stuff that was being dumped out of there. But I don't think that has been included in today's contracting as far as the amount of money we spend for sanitation. They were cut out.
Exactly, but expose those people. Expose the name. Look, you got to start calling names.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start calling names. You got to start exposing people and saying, hey, this is why X, Y, and Z is not getting done, because, and then show proof. I had people say we called the office and we got no response. I got a lot of that. I heard a lot of that from people at church. We called for this and that didn't get done. But at the end, the calls were being answered then. But what I'm saying is, if you're running for anything, you can't just show up at the last minute and say, hey, I'm this, I'm that. We can't do it. You have to do it at least the last 2 years of you running in office if you're trying to run for a bigger office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. And that's what we mean by servant leadership, right? You know, you don't just show up when it's time to run. You have to serve the entire time.
Yep. Thank y'all for y'all time. Don't hate me, y'all. Please.
No, look, not hating you at all. I agree. I actually agree with what you're saying.
Just watch when you cross the street here.
Look, I think one of the bigger messages that I hope that the Black community walks away with is coalition politics are being redefined. Okay? In order to win, you have to have cross-racial, cross-class alliances formed around functional governance rather than identity or legacy machines. Okay? That's not going to work anymore.
I don't even know what you just said.
Let me break it down again. Let me break it down. In order
you just reminded me of the black guy and the white guy on Sanford and Son. That were the cops.
I'm going to break it down. Okay, this is what I'm telling y'all. In order for a black candidate to win as decisively as Helena Moreno just did, okay, you're going to have to build politics that cross some lines. Politics that cross racial lines, politics that cross class alliances. You know, you're going to need the poor, the middle, and the upper economic class to support you. You're also going to need to form your politics around governance, around issues that are quality of life based that people really need, and not necessarily vote for me because I'm the black candidate. Vote for me because I'm a part of the old bowl or the old whatever. It has to be. We're not giving the respect to that anymore as voters. We're not voting identity politics anymore. We're voting issue related politics now, and particularly the young people, because they don't really see race like we see race, right? So I really think that that's a lesson that people need to learn. Both Moreno and Woodfork were able to build cross-racial, cross-class alliances formed around this presentation that we had strong administrative backgrounds, emphasizing measurable outcomes, and that they were going to bring change. That's why they won, and that's why they won so decisively.
I could say something, but I'm gonna leave it alone.
Just go ahead and say it. I ain't scared. Go ahead and say it.
I ain't actually gonna be scared. I just don't. I disagree with you somewhat.
You can disagree with me, and that's
but
fine.
The
The numbers are backing me up.
No, they're not. But let me tell you why. Because I think that Moreno automatically got 70% of the white people in New Orleans. 70% of those folks stuck with her. And I don't think it was messaging. I think it was because she was the white candidate that everybody knew. Those folks stuck with her. We, on the other hand, had choices other than Moreno. And the other two candidates that were the front runners had their numbers pretty much broken up from the beginning.
I think if Royce Duplessis had gotten in the race in the beginning and stayed in the race all the way through,
might be a different outcome.
And not have pulled out
Right.
and then jumped back in, it might have been a different race.
Yeah.
I think he could have pushed a runoff, okay, if indeed he had stayed in the entire time. I just don't think Oliver would have ended up in that runoff with Moreno, but I think that Royce could have ended up in the runoff with Moreno. I think that Oliver had some baggage to overcome, and I don't think he was able to overcome that baggage.
Let's take some more calls because everybody holding on. All right, James. James? All right, Alvin.
Hey, there, G. How you doing today, Attorney Badnaris?
Hello.
Hey, and WBOK family. Well, in my opinion, some of the things, especially what you just said, G, just now, like one of the other callers like to say, two things could be right at the same time. Meaning that 70% stuck with her just because of what she looked like. Now, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I got my hands folded because I feel like the attorney, your transition team in that first 90 days to 100 days going to tell us what you about. And because now that y'all saying some things, it kind of making me look at myself like, you know what, I do fall in that category. You know, because, and that's why I'm more or less and always have been, quote unquote, independent. But, and not even a but. And there's some things that we talked about in the past that are true that I don't think nobody but Moreno paid attention to. And that one thing was, like the attorney just said, and G, what you did throughout this last year with Delisha Boyd, which was, and with a doctor that comes on Monday, which was go to these college campuses and ask those youngsters, what is it and how can we get y'all out to vote? And I remember when they first started saying social media, gee, you was like, social media? And they were like, yeah, that's where we get our news from. And you were just like, wait a minute, y'all get y'all news from social media?
And it's not even the young people. When I question jurors all the time, one of the questions I ask them is, where do you get your news? And what do you consider a reliable source of news? Even 50-year-old people are telling me they get their news off social media.
And that's what's so crazy because I'm 53, but I don't even have a social media account because to me, I look at the negative aspects of the social media. And I also look at the other aspect of it, whereas like you just said, and like we know, these 5-minute bit pieces that you think, man, that's not information. But you have, and I'm not knocking nobody, but to me, that's you really just selling me something now.
Well,
I'm at the point in my age now, don't sell me anything.
You got to look at it this way, that today's society is a little bit different than what we're used to. And the reason why is because of the fact that everybody's got something to do. We busy. And what we got also is we have folks that don't have time to sit down and look at a 30-minute newscast. They want to get it now, get what they want to look at, and move on. So you're talking about the average clip on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whoever, being less than a minute. Or if it's a long story, it's still 2 minutes. So they're not sitting down trying to sit down and look at the news all day. They just want to daggone get it on their phone while they headed
And I
somewhere.
get that, G. And I'm probably going to be, like you always say, I'm probably going to be the old fart on talking about all you youngsters, but
No,
my
you the
thing
old
is,
fart. You really are the old fart. You the old fart, bro.
I don't
I'm just
have
saying.
a problem with that, G. But the back up to that is when you find that story or that thing that gets your interest, you're still supposed to dig and find some factual information or something little about it, I would think.
Says who?
I'm just telling you, I question them all the time. I had 4 jury trials this year, so I had to talk to, that's 400 people I spoke to, right? Polling them about where they get their news. And the majority of them were telling me they get their news straight off social media. They don't even watch, like WWL, WDSU. They don't watch them. They don't listen to
And
them.
that's why we got all these thumb thugs and thumb bullies. And that's why we have in this situation with the differences in the Senate and the Congress can't get together to doggone keep the government open because they're too busy, like you just said earlier, attorney, you're voting on ideas instead of actual issues and what's really concerning both of us. And in closing, I would like to say, to point out what you just said about the coalition, because to me, there's always has been that peace. It just wasn't as big of a piece as it is now. So with that even being said, all I would ask is the other side, the Caucasians and y'all uptown, uppity people, when somebody black comes to y'all and ask you and talk to you about ideas and situations and problems and things that we have in common, stop just thinking just because we black, we don't have nothing in common and you ain't got nothing to tell me and I ain't got nothing to tell you. That's another problem with that quote-unquote coalition building. Because, and that goes back to that point in the beginning. Like G said, 70% of the white vote voted for Helena Moreno. Say it like you want. You can say what you want. We can go back and forth because of what she looked like.
Yeah, I think it's something else other than what you present as part of your platform, because the coalition of the folks that voted for her that were white stuck together. For what reason?
Well, because they did vote and turn out for Nagin, and they did vote and turn out for Cantrell.
First time.
And look what happened.
But
so I think that's
70%.
No, not 70%, but it was a large measure, or they would not have won like that, right?
It was the absolute opposite.
Right. All I can say is, look, they're elected. The votes are in.
Yep.
So now I look to transition teams, which started today. Moreno's expected to announce her transition chair from the private sector in the next few weeks. I hope it signals that she's going to be inclusive. Woodfork will begin reviewing jail contracts and staff assignments within the next 30 days. Runoff campaigns are immediately kicking off for, the 2 council districts that are still outstanding and the criminal clerk of court. I mean, we still have elections pending. So let's see what voters do. But I think we need to start putting some pressure on administration, on incoming administration, with respect to their transition teams and respect to the people they hired to be department heads to be inclusive. I mean, you can't just lose the battle and give up on the war, okay? You have to stay in the fight. And so, to me, I think at this point, my message to Helena is, I'm going to support you and I'm going to give you a chance. But I need you to show me that you're going to deliver on the promises you made, okay, when you got elected, to be a unifier, to be a collaborator, to look out for the entire city of New Orleans and every segment of it. She said she was going to put a substation in New Orleans East. Let me see how quickly you get that substation up in New Orleans East. And my role on this radio, on this microphone we have, is when you don't do what you said you were going to do, to call you out on it with the same fervor that I had with TD. Yeah. Okay?
And don't be mad. And in closing, as we go, G, because what we don't want is a Miss Landrew 2.0.
There you go.
Right. We're going to hold you accountable. Whoever is elected, we're going to hold you accountable.
All right. Okay.
Thank y'all.
All right, Al.
All right,
appreciate you, boss. All right, we got to take a break. We'll take another break. Jay, Vincent, everybody hold on. We got to come right back with more.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. New York Knicks All-Star forward Karl Anthony Towns is getting ready for another big season in the Big Apple. But off the court, Towns has his eyes on business and plans to invest in teams once his playing days are over. He stopped by Bloomberg World headquarters for the annual Power Players event and said that even though he's a basketball player, he's really interested in another sport's growth.
I know because I play basketball, we jump to the NBA franchises, but I think there's more opportunities out there in other sports as well, and I think one of the ones that I'm very intrigued in is MLS. I think MLS has a large growing factor, and with soccer already so big around the world and outside of America and only growing here now thanks to, Messi and some other big names coming over, I think that there's a chance to get in early right now into the MLS game.
It sounds like at least one prominent Knicks player will be ready for the FIFA World Cup when it comes to the U.S. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows you've got a job to do, and we help get it done. With the MyLowe's Pro Rewards program, eligible members save more with volume discounts on qualifying orders through a quote of $2,000 or more. Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Offer can't be combined with any other discount, contract, and/or special pricing. Exclusions, more terms, and restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
All right, folks, welcome back. Gerard Stevens with you. Monday after the election and the political analyst extraordinaire.
Everybody wants to be a political analyst.
You are a political analyst, ladies and gentlemen. The attorney extraordinaire. Would y'all please welcome again the attorney, Suzette Bagnaris. We got Vincent on line one. Vincent, what you say?
Hey, how's everybody?
Good, man. What you say?
Good, good. So this question is going to be geared towards what the disconnected voter future may look like. And I want y'all to kind of brainstorm this question I'm going to have for both of you. Can y'all describe what a post-apocalyptic New Orleans will look like if everything goes wrong for these next 4 years? And I think that answer will be what will get the unactivated voters activated to vote. And it's just, I guess a fun game, but can you describe what you think like worst case scenarios will be for people that aren't involved right now, and what will get them to get involved?
You don't look like you are now.
Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is, for me, that the people who are right about Helena Moreno really being a Republican plant. All right. And if they're right, and she's a Republican plant, and she is going to align herself with Jeff Landry, and she is going to implement Trump Landry politics in the city of New Orleans, that would be the worst case scenario for me.
I don't think she'd be that. I know you're saying that.
I'm saying people. There are people who say that, right?
I don't think that she
And
will.
if that's true, that would be the worst case scenario for me, and it would really surprise me. It would really disappoint me. I don't think that's who she is. The conversations I've had with her over the years and what I've seen her do over the years, I don't think that's who she is, but that would be the worst case scenario for me, because we are living in some very difficult times with a lot of government intrusion from the national government in local politics, and we need a strong mayor who's willing to protect us from some of that, who's willing to stand up and say, no, not in my city. And I'm hoping that Helena is going to be that person.
I think you got to look at the infrastructure of the city and say that we're going to hell in a handbasket real quick, fast, and in a hurry. We got to be able to see that in the infrastructure instances that many of us, as far as the citizens are concerned, we have continuously talked about fixing the streets of the city, and they have not gotten done. Now, there have been some roads that get paved over, and we look at them and say they're pretty, but we're talking about the roads that you and I travel every single day, not necessarily all the roads in the CBD. I'm also looking at this city and saying that it's too expensive to live here. I can remember the man that was running for mayor of New York several years ago, and his theme was the rent's too damn high. Well, guess what? We can take what happened in New York and look at it here. The rent is too damn high. And if I look at the number of folks that are saying that, these are the people that are not making any money to be equal as far as how much the rent is to what I'm bringing home. The average income for New Orleanians' homes, as far as households are concerned, is only $38,000. How do we fix that? What are you doing to bring business here? I want to see what your corporate plan is. Are we also meeting with the folks that are running these institutions, these educational institutions, to say, look, we want to bring this corporation here, but we need you all to work with the city so that we can have training for those folks. So when they do say we're ready to move somewhere, not only do they have the infrastructure to move here, but they got the workforce ready. They don't have to train the workforce. We've already done it. And if anybody's done that anywhere else, all you got to do is go over and try to find out how they did it in Chalmette. That's how they get all of their folks over at the plant, at the gas plant.
Well, let's hope that Mayor Moreno is going to do what she said. She said she was going to have a backlog blitz, is what she called it, on city services. She vowed to launch a rapid response blitz for potholes, code enforcement, drainage issues, trash pickup, targeting neighborhoods neglected for years. And she said she was going to put a substation, a city hall substation in New Orleans East. She said she would adopt a data dashboard or tracking tool to allow transparency on service requests and fixes for things like that. She said to expect an early audit or review of NOPD, the sheriff's office, the corrections operations. She said she was going to initiate a listening tour in high crime neighborhoods to inform policing reform. On affordable housing, she said that she was going to issue an executive directive to inventory city-owned vacant or underused properties for possible conversion to housing. And she said she was going to push for affordable housing funding and partnerships with nonprofits and developers. So let's see if she does those things. She said she was going to have early meetings with the city council leadership to set up collaborative norms to align on priorities and reduce friction. And she said she was going to introduce or propose ordinances that reflect her platform on housing.
How you gonna do that?
Let's see what she does.
I'm not optimistic on that part for one reason and one reason only. I have an excuse right now. I'm $100 million in debt. I'm $100 million low on my budget. I got to cut 20% of my budget. I was going to do those things, but since we don't have the money to do it.
Well, maybe that's why she was with Gail Benson at the Saints game on Sunday. Maybe she realized that she's going to have to pull from private sector to help bail us out of these problems, and private sector might have to take on some of these initiatives.
We're going to see.
We're going to see. But this next 60 to 90 days is going to be critical, and I'm waiting to see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I really hope, I would love to see Royce DePlessis have a place in the administration. Oliver Thomas have a place on the transition team and somewhere in the administration. I'd love to see her unify, put a big tent up, try to bring people in instead of excluding people out. Let's see what she does. I'd like to see where Desiree Charbonnet is going to land. She was up front and right next to her at the campaign headquarters. So let's see where these people land.
All right, Vincent.
Thank you all very much.
Appreciate you, boss.
All right.
All right. Jay?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, and yourself?
Okay, I'm doing pretty good. I can say I was disappointed in the race. I hadn't voted in 13, 14 years, and Oliver gave me inspiration to go out and vote. And I tried to get other black people to vote, and they were saying, like, all of a sudden, now you want to vote because you got a candidate in the race, but they ain't going to do nothing. And let me tell you something. Black candidates don't do nothing but kiss white folks' butt. I don't know if I can say that, but I need to. They say that's all that the black candidates do. They get up there and take pictures and pictures and everything. But I was surprised, Jay. I was surprised. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was surprised that 40% of the black female vote went to Moreno and the black area. When they gave me that estimate Saturday night, that the race was over with at 8-7 because they calculated with 40% of the black female voted for Moreno.
That's all she needed.
I couldn't believe it in a 68% black city. And I had some people, because I do drive share riding, I had some people from Atlanta that asked me, said, wow, the black men don't care nothing about the black men down here and they self and their children. I said, I really can't speak for them, but I voted for a black man named Oliver Thomas. 68% black. You're not going to get a black president in Jefferson Parish. You're not going to get a black president in St. Bernard. You're not going to get a black anything in Homer in that high position. You're supposed to look out for your own. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get off the air. My granddaddy said the point of the matter was to get somebody black in office and as high as you can so they can come out and tell you something. And if they don't come, if it's all one way, when they do what they do, they come say, well, it already was in the plan. But I couldn't believe, it's still a shocker to me because it's a black city. Do you think a Spanish city? Go to Miami and see who a black person get to be mayor down there.
Interesting point.
Go Atlanta, Georgia. What in the world is going on with our black females? I want to know. Do they realize their kids need somebody to look up to? Do they realize that?
I can't answer that question, but I'm going to let the black female answer it for you. So,
okay.
All right, Jay.
Do they
Thank you,
realize
man.
that their kids need somebody to look up and boost them and talk to them?
Yeah, we're going to find
I
out.
do understand that Oliver got into the race late. I understand that. I was hoping that he ran. And like I said, I thank him, and I want him to hold his head up. I want him to go and do radio shows or whatever it is and just get out of politics because I listen to a lot of people, especially black people. The first thing they were talking about their past. And the funny thing was about it, one man said something, and I said, how can you talk about Oliver and you had three babies on your wife? So my thing is a black city, and black females voted for her overwhelmingly. You know what I'm saying? What is wrong with them?
All right, let's have a conversation. Thank you, Jay.
Okay, I'm through. I just wanted to know. I want to know.
All right, we're going to answer. So I appreciate you, boss. All right. Go ahead.
You want me to answer that question?
You the black female in the business.
I think the one
You're
New
the only
Orleans,
one in the room.
I think the one New Orleans coalition resonated with them. I think they were looking for government efficiency. I think they were looking for professionalism in office. I think that to a certain extent, they wanted to support a woman. I think that to a certain extent, they felt like sometimes black men in office don't really listen to us. They overtalk us. And, I think that had Royce been in longer and stayed in consistently, a lot of the people who vowed to go with Moreno would have gone with him. That's what I really think. I mean, that's in talking with my peers. That's what I see,
Wasn't there a and I was having a conversation with one of my close constituents, Lisa Mazik. I was talking to her, and we were talking about the race in itself. And one of the things Lisa was talking about was that there was a 30-minute special, like a documentary that was on television where Royce was talking about he was a little bit behind because he didn't know that folks didn't know him as much. I thought that he was like this homeboy that everybody knew.
No, I don't think everybody really knew him. I think he did have to do some work to get his name, his record, his reputation out. I don't think he had enough time to do that. I think he was a candidate who was more palatable to a wider range of New Orleanians, than maybe OT would have been. But I really do think, to a certain extent, y'all, you face the Cantrell effect. And I was very concerned about what that would have upon black politicians. So
what I do believe, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But I agree with you on it because what history has shown.
Yeah.
And I'm go back to exactly what I said when we first started, and that is, if I go back to Ray Nagin, what happened after Ray Nagin was we saw an overwhelming response of black folks that ended up voting for Mitch Landrieu.
Correct.
And the reason why I use it that way is because a lot of folks don't realize something. When Ray Nagin was running for the office the first time, Mitch Landrieu was already in that race. He wanted to be the mayor, so he ran against Ray Nagin and he lost.
Right.
For the second time. After Ray was finished with his term, that's when all the indictments and all that started coming down. Then it was overwhelming that Mitch Landrieu was over there. Here comes the good white guy. He's the good white guy.
Yeah.
And blacks did not vote at a high rate in that race, but they tried to call it a landslide. It was a landslide for the people that voted, but it wasn't a landslide. The number of folks that voted for Mitch Landrieu.
I got to tell you, I vote now in New Orleans based upon my desire for delivery of services. I travel a lot. I was in Austin last weekend. Austin, has a better quality of life than we have in New Orleans. And when I say that, I mean housing costs are more moderate. They have a lot of restaurants. They have a lot of shopping. They have a lot of zoos, parks, and recreation that are embedded in neighborhoods. I want to see more city services in the city of New Orleans, and I'm going to vote for a candidate that I think can deliver on city services, who can improve my quality of life. I'm not just voting for people anymore because they're black. I'm not. I hate to say it, we voted for Obama. He didn't do a whole lot for black folk.
You trying to get us shot?
I'm just saying.
Why are you trying to get us shot?
I love Obama,
Man,
but he didn't do a whole lot. He didn't have a big black agenda. He did not have a big black agenda.
Can you move on?
I need candidates who are going to deliver services, regardless of the color of our skin.
You got insurance?
I'm just saying. I mean, look.
Hush, woman.
If we had a black candidate who was going to hit the ground running, deliver services, and hire people based upon their expertise in the subject matter and not based upon political cronyism or a favor I need to owe. If we had a black candidate who would surround him or herself with excellence, regardless of a person's race, because we want better for our city, that candidate would have my vote. That's what I'm voting for these days. I want a better New Orleans for my grandchildren. I want them to stay. My daughters are leaving this city.
Right.
2 of them are now living in Houston.
Right.
1 remains in New Orleans. They're leaving because opportunity is better in other cities. I need opportunity to be better here in New Orleans. I don't want to encourage my children who keep telling me, Mom, in 3, 4, 5 years, I'm moving back home. I don't want to keep telling them, stay where you are.
Well,
I want them to come back, and I want them to thrive here. But New Orleans needs to be a different city for them to thrive here.
Let me kind of change gears for a minute here. What did you think about, and I said I was going to talk about this and bring it up, because one of the things that seemed to be a shocker, I think, to a lot of us in this race, and notice what I said, I'm going to turn it, I want to go to the sheriff's race. I was perturbed, if that's a good word to use, that you now have a candidate who jumped in a race and used negative advertising against Michelle Woodfork, and did it and used a lot of money. I'm one of those that's in the media, so I know how much it costs to run those spots. I know how much it costs to create those spots, and used a lot of money to bash her.
Absolutely.
You know? And we had several different, when I say we, I'm saying myself along with the sheriff, Susan Hudson. We had several different conversations about it. It was all with us because we didn't put it out there. But we wanted to make sure that we stayed out of that.
To Susan's credit, she ran a very clean race.
And she was not going to sit there and bash Michelle Woodfork about, other issues that happened in the past. I just thought it was that type of advertising and that negative advertising was going to hurt Shorty.
Oh, he's going to reap what he sowed.
More than it helped.
Did you hear Michelle's speech?
And that speech, she thanked Susan.
Right.
But as she kept on going, she ain't had too much positive to say.
No. She said he ran a very
negative,
misleading, negative campaign. And I think that her memory is long. And I think that she's going to have she's going to get her lick back. We'll see how she gets it back, but she's going to get her lick back. I just think that, first of all, you had a candidate taking a shot at 2 law enforcement professionals when he is not a law enforcement professional. He handles paper at the constable's office. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. Mm-hmm. He's the a clerk. He is not a law enforcement officer. He is serving people with civil papers. For him to tout himself as a law enforcement official was preposterous. And for him to attack, Susan or attack Michelle, who are seasoned law enforcement officials, was ridiculous.
But
I don't even know why he got in that race. He shouldn't even gotten in a race.
And I think some of the verbiage, was really damning to his race.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't tell him nothing because, when I say stuff, everybody take it wrong.
Look, everybody's not good for every position.
No.
Okay? There are positions that I wouldn't do well in. I'm just telling you, you need to know your limitations. You need to stay in your lane. You need to run for things you're qualified for. And you need to not throw mud when you can't run on your own reputation. Period.
Well, why don't you say how you really feel? We got to take another break. All right, we'll take another break. Everybody hold on.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. Hamas has released the last 20 living hostages, while Israel freed more than 1,900 Palestinian prisoners as part of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal. It marks a potential end to 2 years of devastating war that's killed more than 67,000 Palestinians and left hundreds of thousands homeless. President Donald Trump is in the region for what's being called the Summit for Peace, joined by leaders from Egypt, Turkey, Jordan, and the European Union. Israel's President Isaac Herzog says he'll award Trump the nation's highest civilian honor for his role in securing the ceasefire. Speaking before Israel's parliament, Trump declared, "You've won," urging the country to move from war to peace, even calling for a pardon for Prime Minister Netanyahu, who faces corruption charges. Next, Trump heads to Egypt, promising to help rebuild Gaza, a region he once called the Riviera of the Middle East. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
For generations, the federal government has served as a reliable pathway to the middle class for African Americans, a place where hard work, talent, and perseverance could translate into stability, dignity, and opportunity. From postal workers to Pentagon officials, from teachers to Treasury analysts, the federal payroll has long reflected a kind of promise that public service could offer a fair shake to those shut out of corporate America. But that promise feels increasingly under siege in the Trump administration. The New York Times recently noted the troubling absence of Black Americans in high-ranking positions within the Trump administration, a number that has dwindled even further after several firings of senior officials of color. Perhaps the most glaring example came earlier this year when General Charles Q. Brown, Jr., the nation's second Black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was abruptly dismissed without explanation. General Brown's ouster broke with a long-standing tradition that the chair of the Joint Chiefs remains above politics, serving continuity and country rather than party or president. But this time, politics and culture war rhetoric carried the day. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly questioned whether General Brown's commitment to diversity and inclusion made him, quote, too woke, end quote, and even whether his success was due to race. Those are deeply wounding racist words, not just to one distinguished airman, but to every Black professional who has ever had to prove again and again that their excellence is earned, not gifted. This pattern of marginalization, dismissal, and replacement sends a chilling message that experience and merit are secondary to ideology, and that diversity itself has become a dirty word. It also threatens to unravel decades of progress made by African Americans who looked to the federal government as both employer and equalizer. Quite frankly, it pisses me off that the African American leadership has been mostly out to lunch on this issue. What's it going to take to wake them up on the dismantling of the Black professional, middle, and upper class at the federal level? This entire attack on minorities under the so-called anti-DEI movement by the GOP conservative right, while many of our African American leaders are seemingly looking the other way, reminds me of the boiling frog syndrome, an allegory about how people fail to notice a gradual threat. A frog in a boiling pot of water would immediately jump out, but put in cool water that slowly heats up, the frog won't perceive the danger until it's too late. Let's remember, folks, during the civil rights era, when doors to corporate boardrooms remained closed, Washington opened them. Black scientists, lawyers, economists, and diplomats built careers in federal service that became models for generations. Today, that legacy is at risk. When African Americans are shut out of high-ranking federal positions, it's not just a personnel matter. It's a signal about whose voices matter in the making of national policy. And when those voices are silenced, the nation loses not only its fairness, but its collaborative wisdom and cohesion. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites. Then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Tremay, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
You're invited to step back into New Orleans history for Community Day at the Dewdrop Inn with Tulane University's Special Collections, presented by the Primo Memorial Series. Saturday, October 18th from 12 to 2 p.m. Celebrate the Dewdrop Inn legacy with the live musical show, Enjoy a brunch buffet and explore archival materials. Free admission, but space is limited. For more information, visit library.tulane.edu/Dewdrop Community Day.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Fresh produce, local flavor, and a healthy you. New Orleans East Hospital is hosting a farmers market the last Wednesday of every month from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Join us in the parking lot across from the main entrance. Support local farmers and your wellness. We'll see you there.
New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
From the East Bank to the West Bank, WBOK is what New Orleans is talking about. WBOK.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
Oh.
Y'all behave over there.
We ain't behaving. We have a conversation. All right, folks, welcome back to the program here. Gerard Stevens with you. Attorney Magnaris in the building, and Aaron on line one. What you say, Aaron?
What's down, man? What's up with y'all, man?
What's going on?
How y'all doing?
Good, brother.
I'm chilling. First off, shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable, as well as the Hillsview Gun Club. Listen, and like I said, y'all know me, but we have to go back to the point of origin with some things. Helena Moreno been running for office for how long? Wait. Terminology is everything. Helena Moreno been running for mayor for how long?
2 years.
Long enough. Probably even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to our community, right? We have a lot of exploiters in our community. You dig? So they have opportunists who come into our community and do things that we supposed to be doing, but by us not doing it, the opportunists come in and they capitalize off our ignorance. You dig? We only find, when it comes to our community, right? We only find out about election and election season is basically what I'm saying. We need to start preparing when it's not election season. So when election season come here, then we'll all know what to do. Because pay attention. Even with the governor, Jeff Landry did the same thing, right? He did this. He's been running for governor for how long? Before he even became governor. We threw Sean Wilson in the race on a Monday, the election, and Saturday, and thought he was going to win. No offense or nothing like that, but what I'm saying is that the ideological differences is what I'm saying. We have to do more preparation on educating our people better in order for them to do something where they're not really seeing the results of what everybody's saying, what they need to do, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and we had talked 2 years ago about the fact that we needed like a leadership academy where we like pull people who have an interest in being an elected official and start working with them and preparing them and giving them the resources they need to run. And I really hope that we can get to that point. But you're right. You can't just wake up on a Monday and decide to jump in a race.
To get there.
Yeah, we need a leadership institute. We really do.
Exactly, because if not, and like I say, I remember, sister, when G was on vacation and you came, you talked about this very exact thing when all this started, happening. And also, this is around the time when you talked about the culture of the city. And Brother Harold, shouts out to you, Brother Harold. He was happy about how you broke down when you did the. But it's just like you did that piece. It's people that pay attention to things like that, and like say, they come into our communities and exploit it. You dig? So it's things that we got to tighten up on, because we all, whatever's about to happen in this city or in this state, as well as this country, we share the same responsibility as the same ones that's perpetuating the crime, because it's things that we are not doing. And we know we're supposed to be, but we constantly waiting on other people to come and be our savior when
the God and the ancestors put the power in us to do what we need to do for us.
Okay.
All right, now I hear the music.
All right, my brother, we got to roll.
All right.
Look, I just want to
Later
take a
on.
minute to commend everybody who put themselves out there and ran for office. It takes tremendous courage to put your name on the ballot, open yourself up to public scrutiny, and commit to serving your community. Campaigns are demanding. They're emotionally, physically, and financially draining. And every candidate who contributed to the betterment of our city.
All right, I got to say thank you to Minister Woods, who was at my church yesterday. She gave a great message, and she recognized that she listens to WBOK for all her news. So she called us out in the church yesterday. So, Minister Woods, thank you. So good to meet you, too. That's going to wrap it up for us. Beautiful.
We had a great time.
You coming back Friday?
Yeah, I'm coming back on Friday.
Ooh, she going to be back on Friday, y'all. So look forward to it. That's going to wrap it up. Appreciate everybody for the calls. We'll see you again tomorrow right here at 4 o'clock on WBOK. Have a great evening.